Uh, yeah, they say that Canada's inflation rate has risen to uh, 30 new, or sorry, a new 30-year high of 4.8%. Grocery prices are going up at their fastest pace in more than a decade. All right. We got lots of yogurts. Oh, I love yogurts. And that's what he's going. Oh, no, he's stocking the shelves, this guy. It was a stock in the shelves kind of time, wasn't it? And it still is. It's going to be a stock in the shelves time for another week or so. Then you'll see a lot of stuff fly off the shelves in the next week or so. And then it's back to stocking the shelves again. Well, it'll be maybe a rest for about a week, maybe less for some. Some are back stocking the shelves. All right. But anyways, hey, just keep on working and you'll be able to keep up with that inflation. But it goes up and down. Next thing you know, all the work that you do now while there's inflation, it's going to increase your workload. It's going to increase the amount of stuff you're getting done. So by the time it goes back down, you're going to be quite rich or whatnot. So just give it some time. Be patient. It's one of those times you have to go back to your roots. And the fruits of your labor are going to taste so good once you achieve that. And then with time, it's going to get better and better. And the inflation, as long as you allow the inflation to motivate you, it's only going to do good. It's only going to be positive for.
I think the biggest ones are anything that's coming from the imports, so anything that's being imported into Canada, and that's for multiple reasons. You have shipping container costs that have tripled in pricing. You have a delay at the border. You have a shortage of staff. Labor shortage is huge, which it's almost like a domino effect. When you start with one, it just trickles down. So even our produce department, anything that requires transportation to bring over is, like I said, doubling in price.
CBC News. Trudeau says inflation is a global challenge. Another great word would be an obstacle. An obstacle that can be grasped, taken care of by each individual person that wants to grasp and take care of it. Hey, there's lots of places hiring, needing people to do this, that, and the other. And hey, there's a lot of people that'll put you in the place that you need to be in if you just ask.
First of all, through this pandemic, we've had Canadians' backs. We've been there to support them with wage supports for people who lost their jobs, with supports for small businesses, for workers, for families, for seniors. And that's part of why we've been able to make it through this pandemic as well as we have, despite all the tragedy and loss. We will continue to be there because we came into this pandemic one of the best fiscal positions of anyone in the G7. And we continue to have an extremely strong fiscal position. The inflation challenge that the world is facing right now is a global challenge linked to, obviously, this pandemic and the path out of it, but also linked to significant disruptions in supply chains around the world. That's why we're continuing to work to be there to support Canadians. Just last week, I announced that families in Nova Scotia are going to save hundreds of dollars a month as we've reduced childcare fees because of investments we made across the country, and other places like Alberta and Yukon are also seeing significant reductions in those prices for families. We'll continue to move forward on supports in terms of housing, in terms of supports for workers, supports for families, because we recognize that that rising cost of living and the prices of groceries and gas is a real pressure and stressor for many, many families.
Semiconductor shortage persists. how the COVID-19 semiconductor shortage has brought Canada's car industry to a halt again. Looks like we may be going back, taking some backpedaling a bit for a little while.
This spring, 1,800 workers at this Chrysler assembly plant will be laid off.
It's really disappointing.
It's going to hurt Windsor. It's going to hurt everybody.
They're the latest Canadians to feel the impact of the global shortage in semiconductor chips, used in everything from cruise control to power steering.
It is quite amazing when you think that just a component that, is a couple of dollars can really halt the full production of a product that is, tens of thousands of dollars.
It's estimated Canada will produce just 1.2 million vehicles this year. That's down from 1.4 last year and far below the pre-pandemic yearly average of 2.2 million. Without enough of the chips to go around, the industry is narrowing its focus to fewer vehicles.
When automakers are prioritizing where they're sending these final chips, it is going to these higher-end vehicles outside of Canada.
Chip production has been slowed by COVID, a Texas winter storm, and a Japanese factory fire. Plus, demand has surged. The time it takes to deliver a chip order has hit a record high. It used to take 8 to 12 weeks. Now it's nearly 22. On car lots, that means fewer vehicles and higher prices.
It's very much a seller's market if you're looking to trade in a used vehicle, or if you have a vehicle that you're not using and you want to get some money for it. Now is the time, because dealers are paying a premium just to get any inventory on their lots.
Some analysts expect the supply and demand of chips to balance out by the middle of next year, at which point Ontario's premier is hopeful shifts will return to the Windsor assembly plant.
Folks, I can tell you we're going to ramp that back up.
And that a $1.5 billion commitment at the same plant to invest in future production of electric vehicles will be the light at the end of the tunnel. Something for workers to look.
If you look at Malaysian production alone, which was really hit hard by the fourth wave, that accounts for something like upward of 15% of auto chip production. And so, just having a shutdown temporarily in September, October really stalled that recovery. But it is quite amazing when you think that just a component that, is a couple of dollars can really halt the full production of a product that is, tens of thousands of dollars. So it is this combination of a whole series of events, not just, weak ordering at the beginning of the pandemic, but then you'll layer on this concentrated supply chain, limited inventory stocks, particularly of American automakers, and then just these one after the other events that are knocking out concentrated production. So I think it will, suggests that it will take time to unwind.
Long wait for microchips. Factories are facing delays of up to 22 weeks in getting microchips.
All right, this is the second plant that I've worked at that is closed. I worked at the Heinz plant that closed, and now this is cutting down to one shift. It's really disappointing, but life goes on, so we'll see what happens.
The future for sure. I mean, we've gone through a lot of things here in my 24 years here, and I know a lot of our younger colleagues here haven't quite experienced that extent. They have suffered through a shift loss. So yeah, I'm worried about the future of this plant and how it affects the community and my colleagues for sure.
Oh yeah, obviously, yeah, for sure. Hopefully they stick to their commitment, and we'll see what happens from there.
I couldn't believe it. We just got rid of our third shift like just over a year ago, and just a year apart, and now the shift is going. I can't believe they say it because COVID and the chips. It's not. I think it's got to be the sales. I'm not sure for sure, but
a delay, right? Yeah. Like the third shift. Yeah, but I guess we're getting new product, so who knows?
We were expecting it.
Yeah.
Everyone had that feeling it was coming, and then with all the pandemic and everything, the part shortage,